Guys, hello, and welcome to another day in paradise, and welcome to another live edition of the Unapologetic Negropian. In today's video, today's pop live video, I wanted to speak about some of the research I did yesterday, due to the video that I made yesterday, basically, which was all about the debacle that happened early last year with Prince Dynast and ES and O'Shea Duke Jackson. So it's not specifically about them, but it's about what a lady had said on one of ES's YouTube videos. So that's what I want to speak about today. So I didn't just come up and hello, Mr. Uganda. I just want to say hello to you guys first before I get going. Hello, Mr. Uganda. Nice to see you back. Hello, MD2B4. Hello. And do you know what? It is divisive. You're right. Yeah, and people, do you know what? The thing is, Mr. Uganda, you're right. Part of me wanted people to call in. Hence the reason why I'm going live on StreamYard. Now, what I wanted for people to know, first of all, is that I'm not just making this up so we can just have something, have some sort of fireworks online. That's not what this is for. Okay. First of all, this is because, I didn't want to make a video tonight because I just couldn't be asked to edit anything. Can I just ask you guys, can you hear me loud and well? Are you hearing me okay? Guys. No! Tell me you can hear me. I'm going to have to, because I don't think you guys can hear me. Oh, okay, you can. Audrey, thank you for letting me know. Okay, thank you. Hello, Nigerian Natural. Hello. So, as I was saying before, I am not here to start making trouble. It's basically, I asked myself this question already. Thank you, Delena Torelli. Thank you. So, like I was saying, a lady came to visit ES last year in northern Ghana, and ES asked her a question. The question was, what is it about being in Africa that you like the most? And the lady said, I like the feeling, and I'm not quoting verbatim, I'm trying to think about what she said, but it went along the lines of, I feel more protected in Africa because I feel like African men protect me better. I feel better protected when I'm around them, as opposed to being in the diaspora. And yeah, there was an uproar about that. Yaya Ori, no need to talk about it. It is a fact. The only women diaspora men protect are white because of their own color complex. Most of black men married with a white woman will end his life will end their lives with a sister. Wow. Do you know my mother always said that? She always said that. Because I dated a white girl when I was 16 years old, and she was like, oh, I don't have to worry. She said, oh, I don't have to worry. You're going to get yourself with a sister, or whatever you guys would call it. I don't like using the word black woman because I don't know. Anyway, but you also, really, it's too late for me. It's too late for me, But I got to a stage in my life where I was just looking for the right person. You know what I mean? I couldn't, you know, you get to a point in your life, you keep searching, and, you know, I don't like using the word love sees no, love is colorblind, but to a degree it is. And I think for a lot of continental African men, it's easy for them to be in Africa, to be on the continent, to be essentially immersed in a sea of extremely beautiful black women and just turn around and point the finger at the diasporan men. Oh yeah, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. It's easy for you to say that. It's easy for you to say that. It's difficult in the diaspora. I think it personally is more difficult in the diaspora, but that's not what we were talking about today. I wanted to stay on the conversation on the subject. So let's have a look. Ali Jones, love is love. That's what I believe too. That's what I believe. Blackmail TV, greetings, unapologetic Negropean. Greetings to the chat. Hello. Real Stella. From what I've seen most times, continental men and diasporan men protect African women and black women of African descent that aren't the same nationality as them. I noticed I'm protected better by diasporan men. Wow. That's interesting. That's very interesting. You might be right there. I wonder why that is. Why do you think that is, real Stella? Let me know. So anyway, O'Shea Duke Jackson wasn't happy. We all know O'Shea Duke Jackson, very pro-African American, very pro-Black American man. More specifically, when it comes to men, he will, you know, stand by them 100% of the time, no matter what. So he came down hard on ES's friend, came down hard on ES herself, and there was a big problem. But that was like 11 months ago. So I think that was last February, right? So I'm not specifically talking about this incident. I'm talking in general. I would like to know if you guys have your own, what your experience is yourself, you know, especially when it comes to women. You know, have you been in America as a man and seen a continental woman in trouble and been like, yo, boom, you know, gone after them, you know, protected them without even thinking twice? Have you been in that situation before? Do you think twice? You know, if you're a man? In general, I don't think twice, but I was brought up in sort of a place where chivalry is not dead yet, sort of old school English type setting where people wait for the women to go onto the trains first and that sort of a thing. And that's sort of been ingrained into me. So it doesn't matter who they are. You know, if it's a woman, I kind of protect them, but I've sort of changed lately. I've changed in my later years because I realized that a lot of women, a lot of non-Black women are not to be trusted. So you can't trust them. You know, I have to be very, very selective with who I trust. I don't just outlay myself onto everybody. Let's have a look at the comments in the comments section. Colonialism, that's true. Okay, it's easier in the continent to hide it because of patriarchy. That's true, which obviously has its own problems. That's very, very true. But is patriarchy really a problem? You know, we call patriarchy in the diaspora toxic masculinity. We've given it a nasty negative name, haven't we? Well, not we, but they. And that in itself is probably a problem. Okay. Nice to see you, Bantu Queen. Hello, Bantu Queen. Cool. There's never been a shame in admitting we've got True. Hello, WST of KMT. Did you hear the story about the three? This is what I wanted to talk about. I was going to bring it up. I couldn't fathom that. I could not fathom that. Because let me tell you something, right? I'm going to read this message here. Did you hear about the story about the 3 African-American men who beat the woman outside the liquor store in Harlem because she nicely curved them? They beat her, spit on her, and one of them bit her face. That I cannot understand. That, for me, these men must have been on drugs. They must have been on something. There is no way that logically in their mind they could have thought, I can do this and get away with it. They couldn't have done this in, I don't know, any other community where they could have done this brazenly and just gone about their business. You understand? If that happened sort of in my little community back in the UK, where I come from, if that happened there, they'd be lynched, man. There's people would be dead. And that's just some little cringy community over in central England. The people there are nothing special. So how are you going? You're in Harlem. You're in a place where, you're surrounded by black and brown men. And that happens. And this store owner is a POS as well. My goodness gracious me! What? Sorry, I didn't even finish reading the rest of you. I did read the rest of your message. Blackmail TV. There is a notion promoted through the liberal feminist movement that a lot of black women have drunk wholesale that black men, in general, regardless of context, history, geographical location, and reality. I don't know what you mean by drunk. But dragged. I don't get that, Blackmail TV. Let's have a look. I don't know why that is, but it might be because they aren't the same nationality. They are exotic to women. Perhaps, and that's strange because let's say you're a dark-skinned black woman and you get into trouble in, let's say, Eritrea, or let's say Ethiopia, are you going to get the same amount of help? Of course not. If you don't look like you're Cushitic descent, none of those guys are going to come to help you. That could be something to do with Islam, possibly. I don't know. A lot of Islamic countries are patriarchal countries, and many of them see women. If a woman is in a problem, it's like, what did she do? It comes from that sort of an angle. So let's have a look. I hope so too. I hope they're up in Rikers as well, but I haven't heard of that happening. I haven't heard of any arrests happening. So let's have a look. Blackmail TV reality. The black men are the enemies of. Really? Okay. Reality that the black men that are the enemies of the black woman, which is a lie promoted by the colonizers, of course, and they're still promoting it now, right? They're still promoting it now, but I mean. I need to get back to the subject matter. Is there a difference between feeling protected in the United States or in the United Kingdom or in France? Do you feel more protected than if you were in Nigeria? Do you feel safer? Do you feel like if something happens, like 20 geezers are just going to come around you and just dive on you? And help you out. I can't even remember being in a situation where I had to help out a woman like that. Let's have a look. Is there a difference? Some African American men are from a different planet. Why will anyone behave like that? That's true. But do you know what? Some of them didn't even look African American. Some of them looked Hispanic. Some of those guys did. I don't think they were all African American. They can't handle rejection. No, they couldn't. Which means to tell me that these guys were probably young. You know, who hangs out next to a liquor store? I thought people stopped doing that back in the 80s. Notions like black men don't protect black women. Of course, it is. And it's total rubbish. It's total rubbish. But the thing is, who am I to answer that question? And this is the reason why I've gone live tonight, because it's not fair. I'm not a black woman. I'm not a black woman. And so it would be interesting to hear from the women, see what they say. Well, black men have caused the greatest damage to black communities next to white people. Is that true? To an extent, you're probably right. And we need to take responsibility. We really do. We need to take responsibility. We need to lead our people. We need to lead our people. We need to stop the talking, because there's been a lot of talking. Men talk a lot. They talk a lot. DJ, stop blaming the African American men when a lot of the problem stems from the African American women. Wow. How is that, DJ? What makes you say that? You know, what makes you say that most of the problems, that a lot of the problems stem from African American women? What are African American women doing to agitate the situation and make the situation even worse? In your view, it'd be interesting to hear the answer to that one, because you know we don't have this problem in the United Kingdom. We don't have this problem in the United Kingdom, but it's a completely different story. Completely different story. I have been watching Kevin Samuels. I have been watching him. It's been really interesting. Blackmail TV. He's been really interesting. I like his channel actually quite a lot. Sometimes the conversations that he has with women are a bit, I don't know, simple. Like, you know, and I'm sitting there like, okay. When he starts asking women to sort of rate themselves, rate yourself from 1 to 10. It's like, oh, come on, rate yourself. Come on, how old are we? We're not in the playground anymore. It's more than there is more to life right now. There's more to a woman than how much money she earns and how pretty she looks. I learned that the hard way, man. I learned that the hard way. There is more to a woman than how much money she earns and how good she looks as well. To a man who is perhaps a simple-minded man, right? Those two things are the most important things. But for me, it's what's inside the mind that's the most important thing. And I learned that the hard way, because I've been with beautiful women before who were total trash. Just total trash. And I learned the hard way. Really, you don't want that. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to go through your let's have a look. DJ is talking nonsense. Ali Jones, elaborate. Tell them to prove it without using the feminist vomit. Yeah, okay, well, yeah. It's important that we, do you know what? When this thing happened last year, right, with this woman coming on ES's channel and saying, oh, I feel more protected on the African continent. all this drama came up, but we didn't really critically ask ourselves the question, what am I doing as a black man to protect the black woman? What am I doing? Am I proactive? You know, have I done something? When was the last time I stood up for a black woman? I need to answer that question for myself. Every black man needs to answer that question for themselves. That's what I feel. You need to answer that question, and you need to be brutally honest with yourself. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. Be brutally honest with yourself and do something about it. Do something about it. Right? Try, you know, don't sort of let it be a passing question in a YouTube live video and just move on with your life. So wait a minute, I'm going to go through this now. DJ, have you noticed it's all African-American women who are talking on here? There are a lot of African-American women, but not only. There's quite a lot of African Continental women on here as well. Men find it easier to protect women they find attractive. I think that's true. I think you're right there, Katie. I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think it doesn't really matter where they are from or where they are. If you're a beautiful woman in the diaspora or on the continent, men are going to come and protect you, right? No matter what. Or, you know, it's easier. It is easier. You know, yeah. Oh, that's a horrible question to ask myself. You know, now I've got to ask myself this question. What would I do if I was in that situation and there was a woman getting beat on, but the woman was oversized? You know, honestly, you know, I would have to say, now that I'm at my age, and it's probably more to do with maturity, it wouldn't matter. Wouldn't matter to me. No, and but that's the kind of person who I am. You know, I'm not a Superman. I don't care about, you know, being the Superman in a situation. I don't care about all that, you know. But I do have a conscience, and I couldn't go home to my family and home to my woman. If my woman was next to me, have to do something. I wouldn't even. I would have to do something straight away. It's better if you nip it in the bud as well, so you don't procrastinate over it first. Oh, maybe I should. Do it. Do what you got to do as a man to protect. I mean, I'd like to say any woman, but specifically, we're talking today about the black woman. Do anything in your power. Okay, so I'm going to go through this. Stop taking the government handout for single parents. You women are breaking the black family due to money, falling for the white man's tricks to separate the family. Hello, Nicole. Wow, that's some strong words there, DJ. That's some strong words there. And I don't think that's the case everywhere. Sorry, guys, I got a frog in my throat. It's not the case everywhere, is it? And I think that also is, you know, that black women are there to take the money from the white governments and just, you know. Well, okay. Well, but you know what? Let's talk about this. We're gonna have some people come on now. I'm going to post the link. It would be good to hear from you guys. Okay, I don't have that much time. I've got like an hour. I've got an hour from now. I really want to just hammer this down. I want us to find out what the difference is. That's specifically the reason why I came online. Okay, so I don't want to go sort of off the subject. I wanted to more specifically talk about the differences between Diasporan men and African continental men, even if there is a difference. Is there a difference? Maybe there isn't a difference. Okay. Yeah, DJ can call in. Anyone can call in. You know, I'm going to try and keep it down, guys, to maybe 3 people at a time. Okay, because I don't know what is going on with my internet connection, but we're going to try and keep it to 3 people at a time. So once 3 people are on, then you can come in. All right. We're going to try and also, let's have a look. Locke, I don't think ES is a sexy woman, but she has some attractive women listening to her. Wow. Okay, cool. All right, guys, let's invite some of you guys on. Okay. But like I said, we're going to keep it. I want to more talk about specifically about the differences between Diasporan men and African men and how women feel protected. Was this woman, what she said last year, was she speaking the truth? Do you feel the same? Are you a woman? Do you feel more protected when you go to Africa? Like the men there are more, I don't know, they have some vavavoom about them, and they, you know how African continental men are passionate, right? They're quite passionate people. And sometimes they can let loose at times in it. So it would be interesting to hear whether you've had that experience before, whether you've been protected in the diaspora before. When was the last time it happened? Has it ever happened? Yeah, we've got a lot of questions to cover today. I'm just going to go through your question. I'm going to go through a few of your comments here. I mean, women who talked about not protecting black men was kind of right. Not going to repeat that. Continental Africans, be honest. Is this even a topic in Africa? I think it started with the influx of diasporan women. I'm not sure I heard it before. Yeah, you're probably right. And that's the thing. Nicole, where did you go? Come back. Come back. Anyway, so Jojo Fresh. In America, most black men in jail are there due to African American calling the police on them. Wow. Oh, gosh. I didn't even want to go down this path, but come on then, if you want to go down there. African American women love locking up their men in jail. Okay, Jojo Fresh. Wow, that's a really harsh statement. That's a really harsh statement. Nicole, I'm going to hear your feedback now. Oh, you could just give us your feedback. Let me know. Nicole, I'm going to hear hello again, Nicole. How are you?
Hi. Hello, can you hear me? I can't hear you. Hold on. I can see you and I can see that I'm on, but I can't hear you. This is weird.
Oh, why can't I hear you? Give me 1 second. I can see you and I can see that I'm on. Give me 1 second, Nicole.
Okay, I'm just going to talk. So
I'm going to mute.
I had this experience over the last couple of weeks. There was an incident here in Harlem where these 3 men attacked a woman. 3 black men attacked this sister at a liquor store. So this happened. So it happened right across. It happened on my block. And this is not anything. this is not anything that's unusual. Like, I'm so used to being harassed walking down the street by Black men. But I feel like there, a lot of us are traumatized. We don't know how to react with each other. But at the same time, we need to understand that there was a system that was put in place for us not to get along. Because if we were to actually unite as Black people in America, especially here in the States, we would be unstoppable. So we have to realize that there's a system set up against the Black man and the Black woman in the world, really. It's except for the continent, I feel. I've never really experienced a solid Black, safe, wholesome family. I don't even know what that is. But I'm tired of people, Black men not protecting us. When we really need, as strong as I am, I have my business and I'm a very outspoken person. I get interviewed on all these shows, but I'm like, you know what, people? I really don't like being in charge all the time. Some men need to understand, just because we have these positions, it doesn't mean that we really want them. Sometimes it comes out of necessity. Where are you? Where are you, guys? We need you. It's not that I'm against feminism. I mean, it's disgusting to me. I hate that. But we do need like proper leadership from our Black men. Proper leadership. Not a man who wants to sell us out. Not a man who wants to take our kindness for weakness, because we are not weak. We watch everything. And even the most docile woman, like, those are the ones you need to really be afraid of. Because if you do them wrong, we'll let you lead us and lead. But if you do us wrong, ultimately, maybe that woman will come back. Men don't think about those things. You don't think about those things. And the funny thing about the Black community is that here in Harlem, like, we call each other queen, queen, queen. But if you really research queens are the most ruthless. If you study history, they are the most ruthless women that you could ever encounter. Queen Nzinga, like, all these women, queens are not nice women. So if you call me a queen, you better know what that means and what all especially when you talk to someone who knows who they are. So, yeah. So when stuff like that happens, and it happened across the street, right across the street. So yes, I've been missing from YouTube because I had to deal with that. And yes, I was in the midst of it, because then you had an angry mob coming to the store. And this store, because I follow athletes, this store is owned by Ethiopian long distance runners. I have a relationship with these people. And when I move to Tanzania, these people will be renting my apartment. And when this mob said, oh, this woman got attacked, let's go take down the store, I'm like, you ignorant people. And this is men, Black men leading that group. I'm like, you know what, y'all, I can't follow this nonsense. You want strong women to follow you, but you can't be a proper leader. You don't do your research. You didn't even know. Like, after all the mob, like, you can see the news. After the mob left, I'm standing there with all these Democrats politicians and media in my face. I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional because it's a very traumatizing thing when all these women and people are following these Black men off the cliff. So I had to take the bullhorn. And I said, thank you for organizing the community to bring awareness to what happened to this woman. But guess what? It didn't happen in this Black business. It happened across the street. Y'all need to go and really do your research before you come and start a mob. Like, I thought everybody's gonna start attacking me after that. And it's just so I'm emotional now, but I'm a woman. I don't want a man. If you're leading, don't lead emotionally. Where's the logic? Where's the reason? If I have more reason and logic and self-constraint than a man, then he's more my son. He's not going to be my leader. He's going to be my friend. He's not going to be someone that I look up to. And let me tell you, women, when someone calls you queen, just know that if you study queens, the best queens are ruthless. And I'm gonna hang up. Bye.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you. Thank you. Right there, I'm going to turn this off again now. So I've got a delay on the line. Sorry, guys. Sorry, I've got a delay on this line, so I couldn't really speak to Nicole. But it was really good to hear from her because, of course, she lives in Harlem. She lived in the place where all this happened. Let's have a look. Sharif El Wazi Naxleezy cannot speak with those. What could he do? Couldn't do anything. 1 minute we are welfare queens, the next we're too educated. It's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy what's happening at this present moment. I don't think actually it's completely logical. Black women are of course not to blame for all this. We as diasporan men, we are the ones who should be accountable for what is happening in our community. There is no way that this would happen. Actually, it would happen in other countries. There are certain other countries where it wouldn't happen, other countries where it would. African Millennium, I'm going to ask you to come in, but I'm not even sure if I will be able to reply to you, okay? So I'm going to accept you to come in, but I'm hoping that you will be able to we'll be able to have a conversation. Okay, you're live. And by the way, thank you for the interview. I never really said thank you.
No worries. No worries. Are you able
Can you
to hear
hear
me?
me, by the way?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, man.
Oh, there's still a delay?
African Millennial, listen. I need you to give a monologue, okay? So let me know what you think about what has happened and whether you give us your experience. But you're going to have to do it in a monologue because I can't hear what you're going to say. But please go ahead and say what you need to say.
All right. Thank you so much for accepting this request. And yeah, I wanted to say that definitely Continental men do a better job protecting Black women than the diaspora men do.
You remove yourself and come back. I'm going to try and do that.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, he's off? All right. Yeah, so continental men do a much better job. I think it's because in society, it's expected that continental men take care of African women. Like, for instance, continental men, right? In Africa, the police systems are horrible. You know what I mean? If you need help from 911, the nearest police office could be like 30 miles away. Nobody has time for that. So it's like you rule yourself kind of thing. It's just expected that the men in the household take care of their sisters, they take care of their moms. And the awesome thing about African living, especially in the village, it's every child is someone else's child as well. So, for instance, if I had an issue somewhere in the street, my neighbor would be like my kid brother. Like he would be like my little brother or my big brother, even if we weren't actually related. There is that kind of aspect over there. Now, in terms of the diaspora, I think it's more of a everybody does their own thing. Like everybody is working, everybody is thinking about themselves, everybody is living in their own condo. And added to the fact that the police system is really good over here, a lot of people just assume that if a woman's in trouble, that, oh, the police can just take care of her, I don't have to do anything. And that kind of living is really wrong. It makes Black women feel unsafe because you already feel unsafe against some of these race soldiers, right? Like you already feel unsafe going in some areas where no Black people are there. So then if you go to these areas where no Black people are there and then you see a Black person and you ask them for help and they don't care because they're going to be late to work, or because there's this really good thing I've also heard from a lot of diaspora men, like, oh, if I'm not dating her, she's not my responsibility. And I'm just kind of like, what? Oh, if I'm not sleeping with her, then she's not my responsibility. And I'm just like, wow, that's crazy that a lot of diaspora men think like that. That shouldn't be normalized.
Mm. Wow, wow, that is incredible. That really is incredible that you feel that way, that people feel this way. It tells me that there is no unity
No.
amongst, yeah, amongst Black men, and it tells me that there is a gap, a massive gap between um, our communication with the Black woman. Wow,
Yeah, because I don't understand why you have to say that you only will protect a woman, right? If
misogynoir.
you're in a relationship with her. I don't really understand that concept. Like, why is that?
Yeah, hello. Can you hear me?
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Hello, misogynoir.
Hey, what's up? How are
I
you?
can hear you loud and clear.
That's good. That's good.
Can you hear me?
I would like to. Yeah, I can hear you. I would like to kind of say, the sister, what she's saying sound.
Stands the pound. Um, I can't. I can hear you. I can hear you, but I've got a delay. Okay, I've got a very long delay. So um,
Okay. I'll say what I need to say then. Um, to answer the sister's question is that unless you have some kind of power or over someone, you getting involved in situations that don't involve you is a dangerous thing to do. So if you are out there trying to police people or protect people that you don't have any kind of power over, you are putting yourself at a potential, problem. If I saw someone being beaten up and they're not part of my people, and by people I mean like someone in my family or whatever, it's dangerous to try to protect them.
Look, Mr. Uganda. Mr. Uganda, yeah, I've got a problem with. Are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, but I had a problem hearing the other speaker. Was that just me?
Yeah, that was just you.
Okay. Okay. Well, go ahead and say what you know. You can talk in a monologue type style because I'm so delayed, right? That I can't, you know, it just sounds silly if I'm waiting. If you're going to wait for me to answer back, so say what you got to say, Mr. Uganda.
I think if people have been like looking online for like the past few years, I think it is easy to draw the conclusion that continental African men have they have like a better way of defending their women. And I wouldn't have jumped to this conclusion had it been the beginning of last year. But African millennial, you can attest to this as much as I can, that we're witnessing conversations amongst particularly AA communities where we're just at the mercy of their dysfunction in these panels, quite honestly. I don't know any better way to term it, but it's like there's so much dysfunctional behavior in their discussions. Like it seems that the women and the men in their communities, as far as online, can never get it together in order to delineate a solution. It's just the constant bickering, and it's like it's not even just the name calling, but it's the nature of where it comes from. It seems that it's so deeply seated and so toxic and so menacing. It's like the type of environment that a lot of the AA community create when they even try to discuss healing. It isn't conducive for a healthy environment of growth. Rather, it's really just an environment that allows toxicity and just the negative emotions and like misogyny and even like andro hatred, like male hatred. It allows all of those biases to thrive, all of those ugly elements to like fester, and that's the really sad part about that. So yeah, I would say that we have the continental men, at least the ones that the women are discussing in the comments, they're more suited to defend, because I don't see these sort of biases and these sort of like this sort of rhetoric against the other gender in the community taking force and taking hold as much as it takes place in American communities. So perhaps it's because we aren't subject to those sort of like divisive talking points that we don't see continental men disparage the women like that, and perhaps that plays a part in why we're so eager to defend their women as well. Because you and I both know, Ernest, that we were, at least with myself, I don't know if you watched my video when I defended the person who shall not be named, like, you know, um Empress Shah. And you know, like, and so so even African millennial, you were saying that because this isn't to attack, but you were saying how you don't understand why men don't defend women that they aren't in relationships with. Well,
Mhm.
I've got a direct experience of defending a person I was not in a relationship with, and it came back to bite me in the ass. And it's like, I do get why people say men just have to defend aimlessly and you should just defend the women just because. But at the end of the day, we have to factor in our critical thinking as well. If something makes sense, 9 times out of 10, the men will get involved. But I'm not an advocate for men just jumping in to defend any situation they see, because it might come back to bite us in the butt. Like, I think we now, going forward, I have a prime example and a direct experience of me jumping in to defend an individual who later came back to actually slate the whole community. They actually came back to attack everybody else but the one who perpetrated the action against them. And we defended that person. So I wouldn't be an advocate for just defending anybody, but 9 times out of 10, if I see that it makes sense, I'll defend. But that's just all I had to say on that. Thank you.
Okay. No, thank you. Thank you for that. By the way, guys, I can hear you loud and clear now. I can speak in real time. So thank you very much for that. And I understand you actually, Mr. Uganda. I would like to actually give you for instance, actually, if you remember when ES was, excuse me, when I was making those videos about ES, there was a bit of an uproar, and there was one live that came on, and there were a few YouTubers that came on this live, 3 or 4 of them. One of them was Nat Sleazy, one of them was the Happy Companion, and they and there were 2 other guys as well. I can't even remember who they were, but they were there. They were talking about how they would 100% protect their black women, protect their women against all odds. They would be there for them 100%. They kept pumping their fists. They were saying, yes, we're going to make sure that we put this man to an end, and he's going to stop it, because we're going to make sure that this person does not do this to our women. And they were doing all this. Literally 7 days later, an African-American woman by the name of ES gets into a situation of northern Ghana where she says she is physically assaulted by her Continental boyfriend. And what did these guys do? What did those 4 guys do that were talking on that live? Crickets. They didn't do anything. They didn't say anything. That was it. And this is the problem. There's a lot of talking of protecting women, and I'm not saying it's just African American men, to be honest with you, but you know, I can think of instances in the African American community where it's happened. I'm sure if I thought really hard, there'd be instances in the black community in the United Kingdom where it's happened. Okay, but really, that stood out to me. I thought to myself, this is really sad, right? Because those guys should really speak up for ES right now. Here she is. She's in a situation where she's at the you know, the power of this one powerful prince, Prince Ayoko, up in northern Ghana. He could have done anything to her, and they didn't do anything. They said nothing. I don't even believe anybody contacted him to tell him, hey, Prince, make sure you make sure she's okay. Did anybody say that to her? Did any of those men that were saying they were going to protect ES from me, did any of those men contact Prince Ayoko and say, hey, be careful, that's an African American woman, okay? We don't take it likely that you've done something to her. Not one. Not one. And that frustrated me so much. I thought, just, you know, get some backbone. Get some backbone and do something about that. It's really sad that she was in this situation, because no matter what, it doesn't matter how annoying she is, how she likes, or how much she is even violent herself, even if she is violent towards another man, we have zero rights to be violent towards her. And that's the scary part about it. I've learned now, you know, that I'm in nearing my mid-40s. Anyway, I'm at that situation in my life. I know I'm at the situation in my life now where I've had all these experiences, right? And I know which type of toxic people to stay the hell away from, because they're just going to make your life hell. Okay, I can sense it. You, Mr. Uganda, you know, being raised in the UK, you will get this. We black people, we have this. I'm not even sure if African Continentals have this, but in the diaspora, black people in the diaspora, we have this spider sense. We call it a spider sense, like a sixth sense or sixth sense, right? We can sniff somebody who's racist. We can just look at somebody and we know they're racist. We can look at somebody and know that they are toxic. We have this ability to do this right now. When it comes from another black person, we find it difficult. It messes up that sense because we always think, as black people in the diaspora, that other black people are going to have our back, and it's just I've learned the hard way that's not the case. It's really, really sad, and I'm hoping you don't learn the hard way too, Mr. Uganda.
I absolutely. I mean, I absolutely agree. I think. Oh, you can speak. You can speak. I'll remain quiet.
No, I was about to say it. You're in the south. You're in the south somewhere. I don't quite know, but you're in the south of the country. So things might be a little different there. Things might be a little different there, but on the whole, in the UK is pretty much a safe place for anybody to be, right? We don't send our kids to school and then give them the talk about what would happen if there is a police officer, you must do what's this. We don't have to give our kids that talk. There are a lot of differences. So our children are brought up in an environment also where patriarchy is not so strong in Europe. It isn't as strong as it would be in the United States or in Africa, definitely in Africa. In the United States, you have to have that sort of warrior mentality where if anybody even looks at your woman in a way that displeases you, you have to go after that person. And that one instance might, you have to jump on that instance straight away, Ross. Play on your mind for the rest of eternity. You'll be in the shower, you start, I should have done this, I should have done that, sort of thing. So in the UK, you develop that ability to react in a way which is diplomatic yet firm, right? And it's difficult to do that in the United States. The United States is just different kettle of fish, and definitely in Africa it's different kettle of fish as well. I just think that African American, I don't even want to say this. I don't even want to say this, right? But from what other Black American women have been saying, Nicole has said that she does not feel safe in the United States of America. And this incident, which has happened in her community in Harlem, it struck a nerve with her. There are a lot of people, even I'm confused about what's happened. I'm like, there shouldn't be any men in our community who would do something like that and feel like they're going to get away with it. They shouldn't worry about being caught by the police. They should worry about getting caught by the rest of the black men in that community. They're not. They weren't afraid of it. They just went out, beat up a black woman and bit her on the face, bit her on the eye. I think they bit her on the eye. There's something going on. There's something going on in the communities in the United States. And I know that in Africa, right, people are also brought up differently, right? They're brought up differently. We see what happened with Prince Ayoko. Prince Ayoko, we don't know whether he did what he did. A lot of people were saying that ES was essentially lying about the situation, that she didn't get beaten up. I have a feeling that these people are right. I don't think she was beaten. I think he attacked her in a way as if he threw something back at her, and I think she gave as good as she got. That's no excuse. Okay, it's not an excuse, right? And as a woman who's in her late 30s, she should be held to account as well for her own actions. Let's have a look. Prince Ayoko was jealous, so he lost his mind. That's very true. We know that's happened. We know that happened, Ali. We know that happened, and it's, I don't know. It's a situation that they have developed, that they made themselves, right? They made that situation. It was bound to go wrong. It was absolutely bound to go wrong. Ah, man. Have you ever been in a situation, Mr. Uganda, let me ask you a question. Have you ever been in a situation, God, I'm going to ask you anyway. Have you ever been in a situation that you've never lived with a woman before, have you, Mr. Uganda? You're not even 20 yet.
Yeah, he's 10 years old.
Okay, I'm forever 10 years old in these YouTube streets. I'm not letting anyone know how old I am. But can you repeat your question, please? Because my connection's a little bit off over here.
Okay. Have you ever lived with a woman and you've broken up with her? You've broken up with her, but you had to organize where you was going to live, so you were going to move out, but there was a period of time where you coexisted, where you lived in the same house as that woman whilst you were getting ready to leave the house and go and live in your own place.
Okay,
okay. Have you ever done that?
Okay, so just to put it out there, no. But I think we can answer this in that I'm not, because it's not a situation I've been in, so I'm not going to speak on whether it's right or wrong. But if we're talking about logical choices and things that just make sense, it's probably not the best thing to do. It's not the best thing to develop another relationship in the presence whilst living with an ex. And that's just common sense, because you're dealing with a breakup and then there's a lot of emotions left over, there's a lot of ambiguity, and it just isn't a safe thing to do. Now, am I condemning it? No, but I'm just saying that for many people who look inside the situation, and no, I'm not pandering, Sheriff, I'm just saying what it is. For many people, I wouldn't look in and advise for someone to do that. But for many people who look into it, they'll just be like, yeah, it's the wrong thing to do. It's not the good thing to develop a relationship whilst you're in the process of moving out. You're going to get many wires crossed. And from people who look in objectively, it just looks like a very, very bad decision.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I think that she made a bad situation even worse, because they broke up. They had a professional relationship at first. It was professional at first. It turned into something different afterwards. And then it started getting messy, right? It started getting messy. I think after they broke up, right, after the Prince and ES broke up, they should have split the business as well, so there was clear defined lines, but that didn't happen. And this is the sad part about it. That was going to be a problem in the first place, but then compounding that problem by, oh goodness, by seeking other relationships whilst you were still living in that compound, that's just begging for it. And I've been in that situation before. I've split up with my ex. I was living with her. I split up with my ex, and I've been coexisting with her actually. But neither of us went to have our own relationship. Different relationships. We didn't go to see other people. But even though we didn't do that, there was problems. Okay, just coexisting, even if it's only for 2 or 3 weeks, just coexisting with that person brings with it its own problems. You understand? I didn't want to go too deep into it because I didn't want to go too far off the subject. The subject was, the difference between the way African continentals protect their women as opposed to the way diasporan men protect their women. I think you hit the nail on the head actually when you was talking about certain situations, like on the African continent, African millennial. You were saying that on the African continent, you could be 30 miles, 40 miles away from the nearest police station. People don't rely on the police to deal with these types of situations. Okay, people don't rely on them. Okay, they rely on the community and being ostracized in the community, being judged by the community. They rely on that. That's really important in a lot of African countries. Okay, in a place like America, if a woman has a problem, she can call the police, and if it's a woman, they'll be there. Of course, they're going to be there in minutes, to help her out. But we've seen situations, and we've seen them on the TV, even here in Europe, right? We've seen how bad a situation it can be to call the police to these types of situations, especially if there is a black man involved. And the problem is we've got a lot of women, of course, not just black women, but women of other colors who are using the police as a weapon, weaponizing them against black men. And we need to be aware of that. It would be good if we could just ban the police altogether.
But can I ask you guys a question though? Do you think that it should change? Do you think that this system should change? Because this is a complaint that a lot of diaspora women have, that they just don't feel safe, period. And I understand, like you guys know I'm very objective. Like, I know why it is. I know it's not completely black men's fault. That would be stupid to say. But the question is, what do we do to make them feel better? Like, what do we do to make them feel more safe? Is there anything that we could do?
And that's an interesting question, African millennial. I'll tell you something. This is the main reason why I made this live, because I seek an answer to that question. I seek an answer, but we need to find out the reasons why. What are continental men doing that we are not doing in the diaspora? Sorry?
If I may interject on that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, because I really did want to touch on that point, and it's great that African Millennial opened up that caveat, because I think what's going on here is that what you see with a lot of the African American women, whenever they talk to their young sons, they always make sure to, like, even if they have both gender children in front of them, they always make sure to say that it's the black boys who are going to be targeted by the police. So how that's impacting on the boy's psychology, the black boy child, it's going to make him scared of the state. It's going to make him scared to challenge authority. I think they have a lot of revolutionary charm, and we see that shining through a lot of these live streams. They have a lot of potential to be very, very good protectors and providers. But what I think is going on is that it's being stifled by the cautionary tales that they're being told by the parents. And so what's happening is that there's generations upon generations of people who are being robbed of being that masculine revolutionary figure. I think if we're talking about practicable solutions, perhaps we have to really interject with the parenting that some of these women are doing, in that perhaps we should start, if we're talking about making a considerable change in changing the paradigm and stopping the oppression and the socioeconomic disadvantages, perhaps we ought to make more discussions on how the women could start to tell their adolescent boys who are growing into adulthood about, we might need you to be more fighters than we've asked you to ever be before. We might have to ask you to reach into that fighting spirit that your ancestors had 3 generations before you when they were fighting for equality. Perhaps it's because they're not being asked to reach into that spirit that we're seeing a deficit in protection. Because now they're just being asked to safeguard your economic wealth, lay low, don't make trouble with the police, just go to school, do this, do that. But what it's doing is that if there's active violence against your community, even within your own community, it's making you docile. So perhaps there ought to be someone who's like, okay, we have to raise these kids a different type of way. Perhaps we have to raise them with the not the civil rights spirit per se, but with a more revolutionary spirit that is not only in spirit but is actualized and manifested, that they can go and just fight for what they believe in. And that's what I think.
Yeah. I think a lot of African American women are scared of the race soldiers just pumping 10 shots inside of their children, and that's it, you know. And it's difficult for people like me and you that we've been brought up in a place where the police don't have guns. Okay, I mean they do, but only the anti-terrorism police have guns. Okay, so we live in a society where we don't have to worry about a lot of the things that American women have to worry about. But it's strange because I don't think that continental Africans who move to places like the United States, I don't think those people sit their children down and say, hey, you know, you have to be careful with the police because the police are this, that, and the other. You guys, if you think I'm talking rubbish here, please interject at any time. But I don't think if you're a continental African and you've moved to the United States, let me know whether you sat down with your child and had that talk. I don't think they have that talk because, of course, their experience is completely different than the experience of a diasporan African in America, of an African American. Okay, I mean, I should say. Yeah. So, because their experiences are completely different, they struggle they struggle to communicate and find a symbiance with one another where they can sort of be where they can be true allies with one another. So even when the continental Africans are coming over to the United States, they first believe that they are going to be embraced by African Americans, and they genuinely will see that it's not the case. That, you know, the difference in culture is so large that, hey, you know, it's not going to happen. It's a sad situation. I don't live in the United States, so I find it hard to even, you know, if you once again, if you think I'm talking rubbish, please let me know. I don't live in the United States anymore anyway. And that's part of the reason, by the way. Part of the reason I would never, you know, live in the United States is for that reason.
Same here.
Yeah, sorry, what were you saying?
Oh no, I just said same here. No, I was just saying same here. I agree with you.
I thought but you live in the United States, right? You live in.
I visit there a lot, but no, I don't live there. I live in Canada.
Oh, okay, all right, okay, all right. It's dark over there and cold, isn't it now at this moment? African millennial.
Absolutely, it's freezing.
Okay. Well, thanks for that. So, you know, we're at a situation now where we need an answer, like what Mr. Uganda said. We need a solution. There cannot be any more talking anymore. The talking is not working, clearly, right? We do these lives all the time. We talk about what the problem is all the time. What is a real solution? So we in the diaspora, I'm going to say more specifically in the United States, because I don't think Black American women, I don't think Black women in the diaspora, in sort of in Europe, here in Switzerland, you know, they're not going around sort of not feeling safe. They don't feel like they're going to walk into a shop and get beaten up afterwards by a bunch of guys that are waiting outside. You know, it just doesn't happen here, right? And considering that Europe has, is it 3 times the population of the United States? 750 million people in the European Union, right? 750 million people, all right? So it's not, we're not talking about small amounts of people. We're talking about a population grouping which is more than double that of the United States, and it's just it doesn't happen here. You know, it does. You know, I'm sure it could have happened somewhere in Bulgaria or you know, in Portugal. You know, I don't. It doesn't make it news. That sort of stuff doesn't make news. But you don't see people going around talking about it either, which kind of makes me think that there are a lot of problems that you have in the United States that we don't have in the in the European Union. So after all that, so how can we make African American women, Black women in America feel safer? I remember back in the 80s there was Sumumba, you'll know this. You'll know the answer to this one. Do you remember the guys? Were they called something angels? They would ride. They were anti-crime vigilantes that used to ride subway in New York. What were their names again? Does anybody remember their names? They used to basically ride. They used to wear red berets. They used to just ride the subways in Guardian. Were they called guardian angels? No, I don't think so. No. They used to wear red berets. Do you remember Shazzy? Do you remember? They were like vigilantes. So essentially, they basically cut the crime rate in New York. You know, people used to feel safe when they used to get onto these on the metros in New York, on the L or you know or whatever. They were called the guardian angels. Okay. Yeah, I mean, do we have anything like that still? I mean, that is one really big solution, a good solution. They weren't Hell's Angels. No. Yeah, but those guys, you know, they had the backing as well from the state government as well, because they were unarmed. However, they were there to protect everybody. Didn't matter who they were, whether they were black or white or whatever. They were there to make sure that criminals didn't have their way with anybody on the metro in America. And I will see these groups of men who will, I forgot. Does anybody know their names? There is a group of men that will go around and oh gosh, I forgot their names. I think they're ADOS as well, right? They're part of the ADOS community, so they're sort of the militant arm of the ADOS community, I think. So yeah, the Black Panthers were trying to do the exact same thing. They were actually very successful at doing it, and also the Black Hebrew Israelites as well. They were very successful at kicking crime out of their communities. We need something like this, but we need something larger on a grander scale. Not only that, but we need to be able to make sure that these people are brought to account by the community, not by the law. Forget the law. The law is worthless, especially in the United States. The laws
I
there are
mean,
worthless.
they
They're
could.
so
They
biased.
could.
But carry on.
No, they could. They could actually start another group like that. And I hate to be so rude sometimes, but when I hear, especially our Black community in America, talk about some of these things, I'm just like, that's, you guys are supposed to do that though. It's not Trump or Biden that's supposed to do that. Like, you guys could literally go file an LLC, which is how you start a business, and start your own vigilante watch group. Like, you can do that. You can apply for a business loan and do that. Other communities in America do that. Like, the Asians, they have their own police systems in certain cities in America. So do the Jews. So I don't know. I just feel like they can do that. I'm not sure why. I think that possibly does have something to do with the traumatization that we have. So it's like we don't, because we're like in fight or flight mode, right? So we only think of survival, but we don't really sit down and think, okay, how can we practically protect ourselves? Like, how can we practically start these type of things? We need to do a better job as a people in doing that, because there are so many options out there. I'm just not sure why we're not really using them. You know, it makes me upset sometimes.
Yeah. I think it's you got these communities in the United States that are really strong, like the Jewish community. The Jewish community don't even have to. They do get arrested, of course. But, a lot of the times, everything is dealt with within their community. Everything, all right, and being shunned by the Jewish community, being Jewish and then being kicked out of the Jewish community is like, I don't know. It's like death. It's a fate worse than death for a lot of them, because for a lot of them, their family, they live in their community. They are brought up in their community. They go to their schools. They work. Everything is in their community. They don't mess with. The only time they mess around with people outside their communities when they're taking money from them, right? And that is the case with many communities. In the UK, we have the Pakistani community. They don't have to worry about racism anymore, because their communities are so inclusive, so large and strong now, that many of them, they wake up, they have breakfast with their Pakistani family, they walk to school with their Pakistani friends, to the school which is normally an Islamic school, so they've got plenty of Pakistanis there, you know, in their Islamic school. They walk back home, you know, they'll probably go to a shop that's probably owned by a Pakistani, and that's it. They go home. They don't have to walk outside their bubble. So maybe this is something else we can do by making sure we build an inclusive community, a community where everybody knows everybody else's name, right? And where you can't step out of line, or else everybody will know about it, and you'll be shunned by the community, you'll get kicked out, and there is nothing anyone could do. Not the police, not the government, not the federal, nothing. That's it. So I think building stronger communities definitely is a good long-term solution to making African American women feel safer. Because I can tell you something. Look at this. Look, in America, do you think Jewish women go outside and they don't feel safe? No, of course they don't. They're right. All right, they're cool. Chinese women in Chinatown, do you think they go out and they're like, oh, you know, I've got to be careful for these other Chinese people doing? No, they don't. They don't, because they know that the Chinese people who live in their communities will be held to account for their actions if something happens. Okay, so I'm just going to read some more of your messages. The violence in the Black American community comes mostly from what? From the women. The men become violent each other because the women are agitating it. Wow.
I'd say that's a bit of a
Blockade.
stretch.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. You know, I was speaking to somebody the other day, yesterday. Sorry, 2 days ago, I was speaking to somebody, and they were talking about how women psychologically corrupt the minds of men more often than the other way around, and that it's a form of abuse which is generally goes unnoticed because we men have this sort of, you know, we have this standing where we have to be men, we have to be tough, we need to be strong, psychological, what, you know, that sort of a thing. And yeah, he was saying that we need to be able to talk more about it, you know, that. But I don't think women are more violent than the men, if I need to be honest with you. Real Stella, Black Panthers, but they were infiltrated by the government. Yeah, I know. And this is the thing. How do we get around that? How do we get around that? If we build really strong communities, we need to build it around something. There needs to be an idea. There needs to be something that we sort of, that is ours. And I think this is where Africa comes to play. The actual continent itself, building something, building that jewel, you know. Because if you look at those communities, like the Chinese community in New York, or the Korean community in LA, or the Jewish community in New York as well, they have another place to go back to. They don't have to. They don't have this pride in this country that everybody else does. It's like, oh, this is the country where I was born and raised, but this is not home. You know what I mean? They have Korea, they have China, they have Israel, okay, that they can call home. And they focus on building this paradise, because that's what it is. It's paradise. We need our paradise. We do need that. We need to be able to go back to Africa and say, just let our hair down and not worry about our women getting harassed in the street, not worry about race soldiers, you know, shooting our children. Just a place where we can just be ourselves. But it starts with community. I don't think we can have anything else. John Mackey, yeah, religion. Religion's important, but I don't think that religion has had a good track record when it comes to Black people. The thing is, that a lot of religions are man-made, even though we'd like to say that they're not, you know, especially the Abrahamic religions, right? I mean, what have those Abrahamic religions done for us on the continent? What have they done? It hasn't been a good fit, I don't think. I don't think it's been a good fit, if I need to be honest with you. I find solace in the native African teachings. I've been doing a lot of reading stuff. I'm going to be doing a lot of traveling this summer, this spring as well. So yeah, guys, it's coming up to an hour and a half, right? So I'm going to sort of bring this to an end right now. I'd like to thank you guys for joining me, right? Tomorrow I've got another video coming up, and it's about Black Eggs of the Gambia. I didn't want to talk about him anymore. He's done something today, which I think he's buggered up his whole farm. I think he's really done a number on his farm, and yeah, so I don't know that don't really want to talk about it too much. I'm going to do a quick video on him tomorrow. But yeah, Nicole, if you're there, keep safe. You know, that's all I can say. There isn't much I can do from here, from Switzerland. But you're always welcome over here. Always welcome over here. Got a house here. Me and my wife, we would welcome you with open arms. Anybody wants to come to Switzerland, except for Nat Sleazy, not him, but everybody else, you're welcome here. Okay, so yeah, thank you for joining in, guys. Thank you for joining in, and yeah, I'm going to leave it here. So I will see you in the next one. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm going to leave the broadcast, the chat open for a bit, okay, so you guys can keep chatting. But until the next time, I will think twice. Ta-ra a bit, guys. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.